Hello, my name is Beth and this is my AS Foundation Portfolio Evaluation. For this portfolio, I decided to create a new indie rock magazine. My initial audience research and secondary research into existing magazines of this genre like NME, Q and Kerrang showed me that the primary target audience for my media product would be predominantly a white male audience aged between 15 and 35 years in social class grades C1 to E, but the secondary target audience could include older males as well as female readers. To represent and attract this demographic, I needed to research existing magazines to find out what media language I should use and how my media product should use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products. The product I have created is a high-quality indie rock magazine. The magazine has had inspiration of some of the most successful rock and indie magazines available at the moment. The magazine has inspiration of magazines such as Q, Kerrang and NME. These are some of the biggest magazines and all have similar conventions that I have included in my magazine. The magazine I have produced shares the same rebellious characteristics that are associated with rock music, as I have made all my media language choices fit Stanley Hall's 1904 theory that youths must have excitement, and if this is not at the hand in the form of more intellectual enthusiasm, it is more prone to be sought in sex or drink. I have made my media language fit this representation theory as it supports the genre of magazine I am producing, as rock music is often associated with rebellious themes, and this makes it more appealing to my youth target audience. The page layout has similar conventions to magazines such as Q, NME and Kerrang because I have a medium close-up image to fill up the page and have a masthead across the top eighth of the page that I have positioned my teasers in a variety of font sizes around the main image to create a busy, rebellious looking layout that fits the needs of my target audience by following the professional genre conventions. I have followed this sort of layout onto my other pages to create a house style that fits the genre conventions of NME and Kerrang. The colour scheme that I have chosen for my magazines are red, black and white. These fit the genre style and conventions I saw in professional magazines and represent my target audience as they connote themes of a lifestyle my target audience will buy into. The red, white and black represent a rebellious, reckless side, as the colours red, black and represent danger and rebellion. This fits into my music, my rock genre music, which is more heavily associated with rebellion itself. The colour scheme I have chosen also supports Dick Hedwich's theory of youth as troublemaker and youth as fun, as the white and black colours represent their opposites. Also, the black and white colour choices give my magazine a 90s retro theme, as it's similar to the colours and imagery of the famous band Oasis use on their marketing material. I have kept the colour palette consistent throughout my magazine to follow professional genre conventions created by a brand image. I have ensured that I have included cover lines and a masthead that will develop on the conventions of a rock magazine by following the conventions using a grungy typography, as well as using a lexis that links to a drug, sex and rock and roll theme, which is associated with rock music and represents my target audience who are drawn into rebellious stereotypes like the one outlined in Stanley Hall's 1904 theory. My contents page continues to develop this use of fonts that fit the conventions of a rock magazine, as I have included the grungy typography throughout to create a brand image and hairstyle that is right for my genre. My cover image follows cover conventions because it has a rebellious, edgy theme to it, which relates to rock music. The image is inspired by some of rock's biggest artists in the 90s and supports the conventions of a rock magazine because of this. The images I have featured in my contents page also develop on a rock music magazine, as I have included props and characters that look like rock artists by their stance, clothing and facial expressions, as they look aggressive, which is associated with rock music. This also represents males in my target audience, as it makes them look like the stereotypical alpha male, which links to Gauntlet's theory in 2008, as he argued that alpha males are shown as violent. In terms of layout, my contents page also looks like a content page for a rock magazine, as I've included rocky, edgy themes with cassette tapes and ripped paper, which will fit into my 90s theme that I wanted to achieve. The layout looks rebellious, which again represents my target audience by linking to the theory of Stanley Hall. My double page spread layout also fits the magazine genre, and indie genre because I have included a large high-quality long shot image at a mid-angle and then text columns along with a large eye-catching title right in front of the genre, which is something you see time and time again on a magazine double-page spread like ones I've looked at Q, NME and Kerrang. Like the content, my double follows the colour palette and typography styles of the cover to create a consistent design, so when you see both products, they're easily recognised as the same magazine, creating a brand image. My image also follows genre conventions because of my mise-en-scène, props and costume choices that I've included. A guitar, clothes that fit the genre. Also, as my star is the same age and gender as my primary target audience, this represents and attracts them by giving them someone they can relate to inside the magazine. The actual article on my double page spread specifically focuses on an indie rock artist, which makes the content fit to the genre, but I have also been careful to use lexis from a semi-matic field of the indie rock genre to connote the genre represented the target audience. To get this right, I have looked at other magazines of the same genre as mine that are well known, and have adapted some of the same ideas into my work. The narrative also appeals to my target audience by fitting Gandalf's Rag to Riches story, because it is about a working class person who has made it big in the music industry, which attracts a target audience who can identify with the original social grade of the star. Overall, I have followed Bentley's 1998 theory that the creative process is rearranging of the old new to create the new. Because I have followed genre conventions that show the genre represented by my target audience, but have also done so with a unique design that makes my product look professional and new for my target audience. I think creatively, following genre conventions and creative choices in my general represented my primary target audience of males, as the overall product has an immediate masculine look and feel to it. This is instantly created by the inclusion of a darker colour scheme and a grungy typography, which will appeal to a more male audience, as it shares a dangerous and manly stereotype, which fits into the theory of Hall 1908, who argues youth are drawn to rebellion and depression, and Gornitz 2008, who says males are drawn to powerful representations. However, I am also appealing to a small secondary female audience and a secondary target audience of older males, so I have included some media language features to represent these groups. One way I represented my primary and secondary target audience was through choice of imagery and mise-en-scène. On my front cover, I have used an older male star. He represents the target audience as the rock genre is dominated by big names from previous decades who are like the alpha male heroes to younger males and older males in the target audience, as this fits Gorlitz's 2008 theory. Also, female indie rock fans may be drawn to him as an erotic object of desire, which fits McKillen's 2002 theory that males can be viewed in this way. Also, in terms of mise-en-scène, I have created a look that fitted with the indie rock genre by making my male star wear clothing that was slightly worn looking to fit the genre and represent the C1 to E target audience, who see this as an iconic 1990s when indie rock was particularly big. I went with a white artist that fits with what Gandalf referred in 2007 as the social norm within the genre, as massive rock magazines like NME, Q and Kerrang, which were my inspiration to follow this convention to appeal to a mass audience of white fans who like this genre of music and magazine. When looking at race, I believe that overall my magazine will appeal to a white audience, as racism still exists within the media. Overall, media hasn't changed that much when it comes to ethical backgrounds, as this would support Sarita Malik's theory 1998, stating whiteness has been naturalised as though it is an invisible norm, and of course it's an ethical group like no other. Although my main cover image seems to represent older males, it was also very important I represented my target audience of males aged between 15 and 13 years, as my research showed me the best stereotypes to use were to do rebellion ones. Rock music is also associated with drugs, sex and chaos, and this fits according to Hall's theory of 1904, and my own research with what my young target audience would want to see. I use my Lexis imagery, choice of stars and colour to represent this stereotype. However, not all youths want to totally buy into an extreme stereotype, so I made my magazine link to Dick Hedges' theory of 1998 as youth as fun, as youth as troublemakers, by including lighter colours and a white and some lighter, more fun content. The cover lines and masthead I have included immediately give off the impression of danger and rebellion, which fits with the target audience, which is youths as young adults. This would support Stanley Hall's theory of adolescence is inherently a time of storm and stress. When all young people go through some degree of emotional and behavioural upheaval before establishing more of an equilibrium at adulthood. This supports my magazine and how the product I have created represents particular social groups, as I have also included articles showing people going on tour and living the stereotypical look of the rock and roll lifestyle of sex, drugs and rock and roll. As I mentioned earlier, I have used typography that allows the magazine to have a grungy look to it, making my title to have a rocky font, as well as having the title Crash, which is loud and scary like rock music. This would support Dick Hedges' theory of youth as troublemaker. The artists I have included within my magazine support the views on rock and develop on the conventions of a rock music magazine. I have ensured that my characters are dressed in suitable clothing that supports rock music and also looks like well-known celebrities from music today, such as Oasis. I have included props such as guitars, but I have also ensured that my magazine includes stances and facial expressions which give off an aggressive, angry look, which is often associated with rock music. All of this media language works together to represent an audience who want to be entertained through stories about rebellious bands and their behaviour. Overall, I think I have attracted and represented my target audience by developing a house style that was right for them, as it was in a masculine, heavily influenced, rebellious 90s, a decade when indie rock was dominated. While planning, producing and constructing my product, I have managed to develop and learn many skills relating to new technologies. During the planning stages, I have learnt how to create an online blog and use SurveyMonkey to conduct a relevant primary research. I found learning Blogger quite straightforward, as it worked like other programs I had used before, like Word and social media. During the production stage of my work, I learnt how to use a Canon 5D and a Canon 6D digital SLR cameras to take high quality images both in and outside of the studio. Before creating the product, I had very little knowledge on how to use professional cameras and a studio, but by developing and constructing my magazine, I have managed to learn new skills. I think I have started to get used to being able to use the manual focus and to change the aperture to find indie looking images, but would like to keep developing my skills. Through doing my preliminary and main task, I have also developed on my Photoshop skills. I have now managed to create 3 high-quality products by using software in conjunction with InDesign for my layouts, which was another program I had not used before. In Photoshop, I had learnt how to improve my images to make them more suitable for the indie genre by adjusting the saturation and brightness, also by transforming them and adding effects to make them look suitable for my magazine. During this time of constructing my product, I have also managed to develop on certain skills, such as using the Magic Wand tool to make my products look more professional, as well as using the Spot Blemish tool to edit any parts of the image I didn't feel looked correct or needed removing. Overall, I have learnt the basic skills of image manipulation and now know how to adjust images to make them suitable for the indie genre. I have also learned how to download fonts and use InDesign to add fonts and create interesting layouts around an image, like the head of my star on the cover. Before starting to create my products, I would have not have been able to do the majority of this, which shows how much I have learned and been able to improve on while creating my products. I have also been able to create a suitable logo for my magazine by using online fonts and suitable colours for the magazine to look like a rock magazine, as well as being professional. Overall, while constructing my product, I have improved on Photoshop skills as well as my skills on taking photographs. I have learned new media language and been able to create a high quality product that will appeal to my audience I am after. I also used many different online pieces of software such as Blogger to upload my coursework and YouTube to upload my evaluations. Being able to exhibit my work on 2 programs proves Gauntlet's 2002 theory that anyone can now become a producer of media text thanks to the internet and changes in technology. From looking back on the preliminary task, I can now see how far I've managed to progress in terms of making the final product that looks professional and is of a high quality. I think I have improved on every aspect of my print work, but in particular, you can see a vast improvement in my images, text choices, and layout editing. My preliminary task doesn't look as professional as the final product. This is because I have managed to develop my skills after learning from earlier mistakes and apply them to my final product. I have managed to improve and take high quality images and improve creating on the product itself by using new skills and ideas. I think one other issue with my preliminary task was that we didn't have as much time to spend on it, which meant I used fonts from Photoshop and InDesign as opposed to downloading any, which did not spend as much time editing the images. I did not have time to learn all of the relevant techniques at this stage. Overall, my preliminary task looks very basic and unprofessional compared to my final product, which has a much more professional standard to it. You can also see how my research from my main task into the contents pages helped me improve my contents page skills, because my preliminary one does not look like a real magazine, while my music one follows professional conventions, creative representations and a target audience to a more superior design. The company I would like to distribute my magazine is the Bauer Media Group, which is a German company that is internationally known. The company operates in 19 different countries, which means if my magazine is produced by this company, it will have a much greater chance of being successful, as well as being well known. The brand is well connected and is one of the biggest media groups around at the moment. The company has over 25 million consumers in the UK alone, which reflects on the amount worldwide. My magazine would also be the perfect candidate for the Bauer Media, as they are the distributor of some of the biggest magazines such as Q and Mojo. Q is a rock magazine too, and one of the best professional magazines available. This means that Bauer have experienced and know about the rock industry, which could be crucial for my magazine and its success. The Bauer Media Group is not only known for magazines, they have products all along the media spectrum, which again is another benefit for my rock magazine. My magazine would be perfect for Bauer to distribute, as it's a professional music magazine with the characteristics of a rock music magazine, which Bauer have experience with. Bauer Media Group is one of the world's biggest media groups and can easily influence audiences and people's views, as they can connect to consumers on a wide connection. This would support the hypodermic syringe theory, stating that the media can change the way you think and influence people's actions, as the company is successful and has a mass amount of power of the media. This means that my audience are more likely to be influenced and enjoy the magazine if Bauer can distribute it on a mass scale.